he needs to step down completely. He got to go bye-bye. You know, and it's not because I think Vince is guilty. You know, I don't know whether he's guilty or not. I'm just saying we need to now start looking at all of this stuff that a lot of people are starting to do. You know, after listening to like Bix and Span and listening to like, you know, watching people respond to different things online, it's time for Vince to not be selfish. All right. He has to recognize that staying in his position at this point, he's going to bring the company down. How? Well, there's going to be people who are going to contact his sponsors. You know, there's already people adding Snickers on Twitter. There's people who are going after Pat McAfee because there's people going after Logan Paul. There's people talking about, oh, the talent should just walk out. They're going to have people atting the talent. You're putting all these people in a bad situation. You're being a poor leader. All right? That's always been Vince's strong suit, is that he was always somewhat of a strong leader, a guy who went out there. And if people were attacking the talent or attacking the show, Vince would stand up for them. You know, he went out there. Part of him, you know, flipping out on Bob Costas and all that kind of stuff was him sticking up for his products, him sticking up for the boys. You know, they want to do suck it and, you know, middle fingers and drinking beer and all that kind of edgy shit. Vince is out there trying to stand up for him. And yeah, he looked stupid doing it sometimes because he was making a ton of money off of it, but it was also the creativity of the boys. It was these guys out here doing that stuff. Now, he wants to sanitize the product while also continue fucking the employees. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. You're putting people in a really, really bad situation. Now, you're going to send Bianca Belair out there to do interviews. After all this kind of shit come out, and then the people who are doing interviews ain't supposed to say anything bad about it? Ain't supposed to say anything to her about it? You're putting her in a bad situation. You're putting her in a fucked up situation. You're putting Becky Lynch in a fucked up situation. If she's going to be out here representing WWE and all this stuff, and Vince McMahon is fucking his employees and everybody knows about it. You can't do it. You can't do it. You're trying to get The Rock to do a WrestleMania and you're out here fucking your employees? The Rock, by the way, I just learned this the other day. The Rock heard about the Suicide Forest thing with the Paul brothers, and he was actually friends with those guys. And his publicist sent a cease and desist to the Paul brothers. I don't know which one I'm supposed to say, the Paul brothers, to take down all pictures that he took with The Rock. The Rock ordered him to take them all down. That's the kind of shit we're dealing with here. You want John Cena to show up and be a hero to children and you're fucking the employees? You can't do that. You can't do it. At this point, when you have so many people that are trying to take down the company. You have to think about the company at this point. The company has to be bigger than Vince at this point. You have to step down. If it's going to come business, you know, Vince has always been, it's all about business, pal. This is a business decision. Him stepping down needs to be a business decision, not a personal one. It needs to be a business decision. It doesn't need to be that he's accepting guilt. Okay? He needs to just say, this is for the good of the business. You know, if people want to slander me, talk bad about me, whatever. But the company is a different thing. Well, hell has frozen over, and what has unthawed, I have no earthly idea. So there's going to be a lot to discuss here, but we're going to do it in a very short amount of time because I want to let things develop. You know, so at about 4:00 p.m., right after the market closed, Vince McMahon announced his retirement on Twitter. At 77, time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever, together. Hashtag WWE. Hashtag thankful. The press release went out a little bit later from Stamford, Connecticut, July 22nd, 2022. Vince McMahon today released the following statement. As I approach 77 years old, I feel it's time for me to retire as chairman and CEO of WWE. Throughout the years, it's been a privilege to help bring joy, inspire you, thrill you, surprise you, and always entertain you. I would like to thank my family for mightily contributing to our success. And I would like to thank all of our past and present superstars and employees for their dedication and passion for our brand. Most importantly, I would like to thank our fans for allowing us into your homes every week and being your choice of entertainment. I hold the deepest appreciation and admiration for our generations of fans all over the world who have liked, currently liked, and sometimes even love our form of sports entertainment. It continues. Our global audience can take comfort in knowing WWE will continue to entertain you with the same fervor, dedication, and passion as always. I am extremely confident in the continued success of WWE, and I leave our company in the capable hands of an extraordinary group of superstars, employees, and executives, in particular both chairwoman and co-CEO Stephanie McMahon and co-CEO Nick Khan. As the majority shareholder, I will continue to support WWE any way I can. My personal thanks to our community and business partners, shareholders, and board of directors for their guidance and support through the years. Then, now, together, forever. All right, so there it is. Vince McMahon has retired. He leaves Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon to share the baby, which probably won't last for very long, if we're being honest. In addition to this, earlier in the day, Triple H was announced as the new head of talent relations, a job that he kind of lost to John Laurinaitis. But since John Laurinaitis was involved with this, he now has the job back. So it's now the McMahon-Helmsley era officially in a legitimate capacity. So what does this mean? All right, let's clear up some misconceptions first. Is Vince McMahon still the majority owner of WWE? The answer to that question is yes. There's nothing they can do about his stock power. He has what he has. Is he still head of creative? The answer to the question is no. He is not the head of creative. He has retired in full from the company. He is no longer there in any capacity. But that does not mean he still probably won't advise on behalf of the company, and probably just a phone call away. Hell, he might just still be a ghost walking around there with just no authority whatsoever, other than being Vince McMahon. So now that that's on the table, apparently a lot of dominoes are going to start falling. The talent was informed about 5 o'clock that Vince McMahon was going to retire and that it was a shoot, that is serious. And then apparently, I hate to put speculation in this video, but it is what it is, that Brock Lesnar says if he's gone, I'm gone. He's taking a walk. And if Brock walks, they're going to have to replace Brock. So I say this, don't be Brock Lesnar. Do not be Brock Lesnar. Do not knee-jerk your reactions. On this channel, what I always try to tell people to do, wait. Give it 6 months. Give it WrestleMania. I don't know what it's going to look like. I have no earthly idea what it's going to look like. Stephanie has been interim CEO for a little while now. I don't know what her vision is. I don't know what Tony Khan's vision is. The one thing as wrestling fans that we've always had is that Vince McMahon is Vince. He is who he is. There was a stability with Vince where you kind of knew if anything went wrong, you can blame Vince. Now you don't know who to blame. You're not going to know who you're going to blame now. Are you going to blame Stephanie? Are you going to blame Nick Khan? Who are you going to blame? Now, who's going to run creative? We have no earthly idea. There's also some talk, some whispers that some other Vince loyalists are on the way out. Maybe the current executive producer for Raw and SmackDown. There's been some speculation that he's been upset. There may be some other talent that Vince worked with directly that might be upset. And this is part of the Vince mystique, is that he has personal relationships with a lot of the talent. A lot of them negotiate and talk to Vince personally. They don't go through all of these other people, the Nick Khans and the Stephanies. They don't really do well with them. They talk to Vince. And when they negotiate with Vince. And it's been that way for a long time. So now you're asking a guy like Brock Lesnar, hey, put your career and your body in the hands of Stephanie and Nick Khan, and abruptly at that. Not, hey, this is what we're going to do in the future, but hey, this is what's going on right now. You know, now everybody's supposed to shift all of their loyalty, even though Vince probably is the one who signed you. Vince is the one who saw something in you. He's the one who's pushing you. He's the one who gave you the sweetheart deal. He's the one who's been putting you on TV. And now you're saying this person is going to pick up the slack and do all of that stuff. And if we're being honest, Stephanie and Nick Khan, they're better off putting each other in a box and saying Nick Khan is going to run the company and Stephanie's going to deal with the wrestling part, and saying wrestlers deal with Stephanie, period, because she's been there. You know, so let her deal with the wrestling part. Nick Khan, you deal with all the business dealings. And you still can't sell the company because Vince still has all of the power in that respect. So you're better off trying to maintain some type of stability for the people who are Vince loyalists. That's always going to be the problem when you have institutionals or institutions that have institutional knowledge, people who have been there for a really, really, really long time, and you disrupt that stability. You need bridges, people who have been there, people who will be there. So despite the fact that some people dislike Michael Hayes or they dislike Kevin Dunn, you can't just churn everybody out immediately. That's going to cause a lot of problems. So what you do is you let Vince be gone for a little while, and then you start removing certain pieces a little at a time. Maybe you don't like Kevin Dunn, who is personally the one guy in the company that I have heat with. I just cannot stand his camera work. It's terrible. And I don't like what I've heard as far as his vision for wrestling. I just don't like it. But you can't get rid of him immediately. You give him some time. You start to phase him out. Maybe you bring in somebody else who does something a little bit differently, and you diminish his role, which is what they did with Vince. They saw Vince was in that position. They diminished his role a little bit by saying, okay, you're not CEO anymore. You're still, you're not chairman of the board, CEO anymore. You're still head of creative. They moved Stephanie in that spot. They let her do that for a little bit. And then they said, okay, now we can successfully move Vince out. You need to do that with every single person who is a Vince McMahon loyalist in that company. And you have to go scorched earth, because anything else you might leave somebody in there that's going to be a saboteur, and you don't want that. And this happened because there were saboteurs in the company already. Somebody in the board of directors has been sending these letters to the Wall Street Journal or whatever. You need to look at who is more likely to be more loyal to Vince than they are to the company. And when you have those people, guys who are like, Vince McMahon saved my life, because he helped me go to rehab or whatever, you need to start phasing those people out, because you never know what they might be thinking. So yeah, you got to phase those people out over time, of course. Just slowly but surely replace them. And even if you don't replace them with somebody who is better than them, you still have to get them out of the spot. At least give somebody else a shot before you find somebody who's going to be a permanent placeholder in that position. We know that Stephanie comes in with her own picadillos, so we don't know how much this is going to affect somebody like Paul Heyman, who Stephanie doesn't get along with. Vince probably likes Paul. He always liked Paul. So what are we going to do now that Stephanie doesn't like Paul Heyman and Vince did? Vince is gone. So now everybody who spent years currying favor with Vince, you're sitting there like, okay, maybe Stephanie doesn't like me. What are we going to do? Nick Khan doesn't know me. Not really. And Stephanie McMahon might not like me. So what do we do? And then you have to look at the Titus O'Neil comment where he talked about WWE being a safe space, which, was kind of the precursor to this, for me. You have to think about that too. There's going to be a lot of, who knows, kind of political changes are going to start taking place in the company. Are they going to start using superstars to push certain agendas? Are we going to start seeing the rainbow WWE in June? What's going to happen from that respect? We don't know. Now, I can tell you that I've seen plenty of articles in the past that Stephanie McMahon isn't very well liked in the feminist circles, despite the fact that she wants to be seen as a feminist, as a female empowerment icon, a girl boss. They don't like Stephanie McMahon. The reason they don't like Stephanie McMahon is because they see her as a daddy's girl. Everything she's ever got, she's got because she worked for her daddy. And they see her as being female Vince, which is a lot of what wrestling fans see as Stephanie anyway. She's worse, but she's female Vince. And she's not very well liked in that regard, despite the fact that she's a female CEO. She was, female head of writing and all this kind of stuff. It was kind of seen as she is the keeper of the boys club. We can't have a true feminist takeover of WWE until there's a woman not named McMahon running the company. They didn't, even though Linda was the president for a long time and she was a lot of important to the business aspect of it. They never really seen WWE as anything other than Vince's toy. And now it's Vince's daughter running the place. She's not going to get the big thumbs up as everybody thinks that she's going to get. There may be somebody out there who's going to give her some lip service and say, oh, Stephanie, she's going to be so great as the female CEO. Maybe. There might be somebody out there like that. But I can tell you, a lot of the harder, hardcore feminists, they don't like Stephanie. And she's going to get hell. If you're Nick Khan, you're in a good spot. Because if you're Nick Khan, you have been helping to negotiate with Fox. You've been helping to negotiate with USA Network already. They're comfortable with you. They know who you are. They know the product. And they probably know that with Stephanie there and with Titus O'Neil and the statement that he made on TV, you're probably going to want to soften parts of the product anyway. Without Vince McMahon being there and his problematic behaviors, quote unquote, or the maybe some of the other people in the company, you can just, if you're Nick Khan, you can slowly but surely move those people out. If somebody has a problem with Michael Hayes has all types of allegations of being a racist and all that kind of stuff, you can eventually move him out. Bruce Pritchard, let's say people don't like him, you can eventually move him out. There's a lot of things that you can do from that perspective to be solid and be sweet. If you're Nick Khan, you're good, because everybody who is important already likes you and you've been there for a while already. You already helped with some of the negotiations. If you're Stephanie, it's going to be a big problem, because we have no earthly idea what her vision is going to be for the business. And some people even think she's not qualified. Now, if you're Triple H, you're going back to a familiar seat. You know, you've done this already before. People think you did a good job at it. They worship you. They love NXT Black and Gold. There's going to be a section of fans who are going to be very upset at, Triple H taking over, because there's going to be more indie guys, not as many superstars. You're going to be overbidding for under-talented guys. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. But it seems like Triple H was on board for the NXT 2.0 thing. If that's the case, that's a Nick Khan decision too. Nick Khan was down with the NXT 2.0 thing. So Nick Khan still being there doesn't mean NXT is going to change. NXT is likely to stay what it is. Now, there's been a lot of talk about selling the company. Well, you still can't sell the company because Vince is there. Vince has the majority of the voting stock. You still can't sell the company unless Vince wants to sell it. And Vince could, screw them by saying, hey, these guys have been working against me. They forced me out or whatever. I'm going to vote to sell the company. And there will no doubt be new people being brought in, and then Stephanie and Nick Khan will both be gone. And pretty much the entire board of directors will likely be gone at that point, because the new company will come in and be able to do whatever they want. So that's just a lot of the stuff that's been floating around, but I've been saying give it 6 months. A lot of people think that Endeavor, the people who own UFC, is going to come in and buy it. Some people have been talking about Disney. People have been talking about Amazon. I don't think WWE is best being sold and being a part of somebody else's budgets and, part of their balance sheet. It doesn't make much sense to me to do that, but I don't have, the information. We don't know if Nick Khan is even one of these guys who was interested in running a wrestling company, and he's certainly not going to be interested in leaving it to Stephanie. And Stephanie might be interested in running a wrestling company, but she's not trusted. She's not trusted by the people on the inside or the people on the outside. The people on the outside for all the stuff that I just said, people on the inside because they're going to see as, well, she's just in this position because she's Vince's daughter. So you're in a real bad situation, and it could possibly get worse. Now, for us, the fans, I said, again, wait 6 months. We have no idea what's actually going to occur. What is it going to look like in 6 months? If Brock decides he's not going to wrestle because he's loyal to Vince, we don't know if he's the only one. He might be just one of many. It might be numerous other people that's going to be there. They're going to really, really rely on a lot of the legends coming in, and like Undertaker and stuff like that, coming in and saying, oh yeah, the product is going to be fine because Stephanie has a good mind for the business or whatever. So be on the lookout for stuff like that. I think they did that when Stephanie became interim CEO. You started seeing a lot of people come out and start saying, oh, Stephanie, she's good. She's been around the business forever. And you're going to see more of that in the coming weeks. You're going to see probably a bunch of guys coming out of nowhere. Oh, Stephanie, I love Stephanie. I love working for Stephanie. They're probably not going to say anything about Nick Khan, but they'll talk glowingly about Stephanie because they want to make sure that there are people within the company who like Stephanie to keep those people from leaving. And to keep the fans who are fans of Vince and his zany ideas, to keep them from leaving. Because I guarantee you, Vince had a knack, a way of pissing people off, but keeping them coming back. While other wrestling promotions pissed people off and they just left. And that was it, does either one of them have the charisma or the strength that when things are going bad, they're going to be able to hang in there and hold on? Vince has been there through the roughest of rough times, through shit like Bastion Booger, steroids, multiple rape accusations and murders and all kinds of stuff. He didn't buckle. He didn't miss a day of work. When you have people like Stephanie or Nick Khan, this isn't their life. You know, their life is their life. This is just a job. And that is going to be the major change for the WWE. Not necessarily that Vince isn't there anymore. It's going to be the difference in philosophy. You know, people who punch out at 5 o'clock versus Vince who is working at midnight. You know, Vince who is working at 2 a.m. That's going to be the philosophy. That's going to really screw everything up, because there's going to be people who are not going to answer their phone at 6 o'clock. People who don't want to answer their phone at 2 a.m. You know, it's like being a president, you know, because that's what you're used to. You never know what the hell a wrestler is going to get themselves into that Vince McMahon has been able to cover up, keep quiet, or whatever the case may be. How is Stephanie or Nick Khan going to handle it? If another Jimmy Uso situation happens, somebody get caught with a DUI, how is Stephanie going to handle it? How is Nick Khan going to handle it? We saw what Vince did. Vince will say, okay, we're going to weather the storm. We're going to give the guys the benefit of the doubt. You know, like, we have policy, and policy is policy. But there are other things which, you know, we don't necessarily have a policy on that, and we're willing to take the heat for it. Brock Lesnar's not going to get drug tested. Oh, he got busted doing drugs in UFC? Vince, oh well, shrug. You know, he's not going to go out there and explain it to anybody. Fuck you. I'm Vince McMahon. I'm going to do whatever I want. You know, we don't test Brock Lesnar. And then everybody else like, oh, that's unfair. And Vince is like, he's Brock. And that's why Brock is loyal to him. And that's why guys like Roman might be loyal to him. Because he's been there. Even when they fucked up, he stood with them. We're going to see if these CEOs, Nick Khan and Stephanie, have the same balls. Are they going to be able to hang with wrestlers who are fucking up? And they fuck up a lot. And we'll see. We'll see if they throw them under the bus. We'll see how they handle this situation. Now, they haven't overreacted to the Vince McMahon stuff yet. So they didn't throw Vince under the bus. But there's no doubt that there was some pressure put on him to retire. There was definitely some pressure. No doubt it probably came from his TV partners and probably from sponsors. All right, so that's more than likely going to be a situation right there. And if you put a gun to my head and said this is 100, do you think Vince was forced out? Absolutely. I think Vince was going to die in the chair. He just decided, you know what? I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar. I'll try to sit it out. But here's what I'll do. I'll absorb a lot of this heat, and we'll groom the next person. We'll give her some time. And that's what they did. They groomed him. And now he's gone. But the big problems are yet to come, because wrestling fans have had Vince McMahon to blame for every single thing for 40 years. Now they don't. Now we're going to see what happens in a world without the devil. You're going to have to create new devils. So don't be surprised by the time Royal Rumble runs around. Everything in wrestling is going to be the fault of Stephanie. Specifically Stephanie. I bet you it's Stephanie. She's McMahon. So they're going to blame her for pretty much everything. All right, let me know what you guys think. This is a huge news story. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and be blessed.
Skin tone, so why attach yourself and piggyback the wealth you didn't earn or lack yourself? I'm telling you to own up to your own success and failures. It's a reason why these sleeves